Canadians head to the polls on the 27th of October, and when it comes to the race for mayor, there are three perceived frontrunners. Thus far on Metro Morning, we've spoken with two of them, John Tory and Olivia Chow. And this morning, the third is with me in studio, City Councillor Doug Ford. Good morning.
Good morning, Matt. How you doing?
Very well, and we're glad to have you here. Thank you.
Good. Did you mess up my headphones or what here?
No. You don't need those. That's fine.
Okay, good.
Just a conversation. Why do you want this job?
Because I'm passionate about the city. I love the city, Matt, and I love the people that live here.
I guess it's an interesting question in part because just before your brother took ill, it seemed as though you had no interest whatsoever in being involved in council anymore.
You know, Matt, things change in life pretty quickly. And I did my term, and I'm the only one down. As a matter of fact, I'm the only one in the country. And this is the difference between John Tory and myself. My first vote when I went down there, Matt, was to reduce taxes, and I donate my salary. John Tory's first vote when he was an MPP was to give himself a $22,000 pay hike.
But I guess this is
That's
important.
more than people make, Matt.
But this is important in part because you talked about how you couldn't wait to run away from city council. You called your fellow councillors monkeys. You shouted at them from the floor of council. You had a very bad attendance record at council.
Actually, you know that's not true because CBC was watching me every single day. Every person in the city saw me 18 hours a day.
You missed 53% of the votes in your last year in council.
Matt, I know you're playing opposition here, but anyways, let me address it.
No, but that's a fact.
Anyways, you're going on John Tory's line. Let me tell you something, Matt.
It's the truth, though.
Can I tell you something? You know something? No one worked harder and put more hours in than Rob and I did. I started at 6 in the morning. I'd get home at 11, 12 o'clock at night. I sacrificed my family. I sacrificed my business to make this city better, and we did. The fiscal foundation of this ship, of this city, was in a complete mess when I got down there. There was $774 million of pressure going into the year.
And a surplus.
No, Matt, you don't understand the budget.
Well,
let me just be frank with you.
There was a budget surplus.
I've been the vice chair of the budget for 4 years,
Yeah.
longer than any serving councillor in the city. I understand the numbers. There was $774 million, and the surplus was always used to fill the previous year's gap. I'm proud to say, for the first time ever, the city has balanced their books, and in 2013, we ended up with a $248 million surplus. We delivered a 0% tax increase the first year. Our average is 1.75%. We've done a fabulous job. We've broken every single record, Matt, that the city's ever seen. Tourism,
right.
13 million.
Let's go back, though, to the first question, which is why you actually want to do this. If you couldn't wait to get out of council, if you weren't there for those 53% of the votes that you missed in the last year, what is it that now has brought you back?
Well, Matt, let me correct you again because you're being disingenuous with the listeners. Let's be honest here. Every day I was down there, CBC was there interviewing me. I worked 18 hours a day. I never missed a council meeting.
Did you miss those votes?
No, let me tell you something.
Did you
Matt,
miss those votes?
Matt, I've never missed a council meeting in 4 years, to the exception of one meeting in 4 years. And did I miss a few votes about maybe a stop sign or about lunch, extending a lunch or extending a speaking time? Yeah, I'm. You know something? I was in the chamber. All the councillors saw me in the chamber. I had one of the best attendance records for showing up, being there. I was out lobbying votes. You don't just sit in your chair at council when they pontificate over nothing for 6 hours about a stop sign. So am I always there? CBC, you can look on record. Every single council meeting in 4 years, I was there except one. I was at every single committee meeting except one.
Let's talk about some of the things that you want to do at council if you become mayor again. And one of the things you've talked about is actually bringing council together. How do you think that you can do that, given your record, as I say, of calling councillors monkeys, shouting at them from the floor of council, being what a lot of people say is a divisive councillor?
Well, you just don't understand because you aren't there, Matt.
Well, no, I've been there.
Can I tell you? You know, the last meeting, I went out with Mary Fragadakis, Joe Mahavik, and John Fillion for lunch. This isn't a situation, it's politics, it's City Hall. You don't sit there and sing Kumbaya. It's not a church picnic, Matt.
If you look
you have to stand up for what you believe in.
If you look at the
You don't
voting
waffle.
records, though, of many of the votes that you were there for, they often end 38-2. You would
Well,
be,
you don't.
you and your brother would be the two
you're
votes.
twisting it, Matt. You know something? What you don't say is how did the Ford administration pass 98% of their promises? That's unheard of. How did we get every single budget passed with a vast majority of the vote? 38-5.
How will you
38? Hold on, 38-2. The car registration tax, I believe, was 38-4.
Which was, again,
The
in
TTC
the first
we won.
few years of your mandate, or
Yeah.
your brother's mandate, actually, not yours, your brother's mandate. After that, I think a lot of people, yourself included, and your brother has admitted this as well, said that the situation became much more difficult at council. How are you going to try, this is the question
Matt,
that you haven't answered,
I'm
how are you going to bring
I'm gonna answer it.
councillors together?
But again, you aren't being pretty forthright with the listeners here. Last year at this time, and it was supposed to be divisive, how did we get the federal government, the provincial government, and all the councillors on side to keep our promise to build a subway to Scarborough?
Which hasn't yet
That
been
was
built,
last
but-
year. Well, you know it's gone ahead, right? You know the federal government has committed $660 million.
For a transit project.
The province, no, for subways. The Prime Minister said it. Late Jim Flaherty said it. The council said it. We're on board to deliver subways to Scarborough. We kept our promise. You know, what I got to ask is John Tory's plan. There's holes all through it. It's finally coming to light. I want to know the story, Mr. Tory. We know it's not integrated into the existing subway line.
But let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. We've had John Tory here. He's talked about his plan. Olivia Chow has talked about her plan. One of the things about being mayor is the image that you present. Do you think you're a bully?
No, and everyone knows that down there. Absolutely not. If it means being called a bully to stand up for my brother and stand up for the taxpayers, anyone who wants to go down there and say yes, 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 it's going to cost the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars.
You were forced to
gotta stand
apologize
up
to the chief.
a
You were
bully.
forced to apologize to the chief of police for suggesting something that wasn't true.
Yeah.
You called the father of an autistic child. You actually told him to go to hell.
Actually, see,
because
this is where you...
no. This
is where you got it wrong because I met the gentleman.
Let me finish. You told him to go to hell because you questioned the place of a home for autistic youth in the neighborhood, and you said that it had ruined the neighborhood. Is that, do you think, behavior? But is that behavior?
No. But Matt,
That's
Matt,
conductive to being a mayor of Toronto.
Matt, let me tell you something. I've never had an interview that someone's been so disingenuous to me in my life. I met the man. We shook hands. We talked about it. My heart goes out to him.
You said it ruined the neighborhood.
No, and that's what you don't understand, Matt. You weren't there. You've never been there. You don't have a clue the situation that was there. There wasn't kids with autism in that house. They said there was. There wasn't. What I did, I brought the parties together, Matt. I brought the people that were organizing the home and the neighbors when they were upset. I brought them together, and we've resolved the problem, Matt.
You don't believe that you were divisive at all in this, that you pit people in the neighborhood against each other?
No, actually, they came to me, Matt, when this home showed up, and there was fire trucks every day. There was police there every day. Windows were being smashed out. Kids were found in the backyards. Those aren't kids with autism. I've done a tremendous amount of work with kids with autism. I was with a family less than a week ago, helping them with their kids from autism. The gentleman that you're talking about, there was a misunderstanding. We had a private conversation. We met. We shook hands. And you know something? We both understand each other.
Doug Ford is
very
with us.
clearly.
Doug Ford's with us in studio. We're going to pick up on some of the things that you've been putting forth in the campaign so far, particularly some things around the numbers coming up. It's about 9 minutes away from 8. Laurie's here.
We've got a collision getting cleared in town, westbound Eglinton, just west of Laird, really affecting the TTC, the 34 Eglinton East, 54 Lawrence East, and 100 Flemington Park, all on diversion westbound around the problem. Out on the westbound 401 at Port Union in the collectors, watch out for a stalled bus. It is blocking the right lane. Now, here's Jill.
Rain on the way starting this afternoon. There's also the risk of a thunderstorm. Expect a high of 23 degrees. More rain tonight with the risk of a thunderstorm early this evening. A low tonight of 12. Tomorrow's high, 13, with cloudy skies and a 60% chance of showers.
It's 16 degrees right now in Toronto. This is Metro Morning. Doug Ford is with me in studio. We're talking about some of the issues that are at play in his campaign to be mayor of Toronto. One of the things that you want to do is cut the land transfer tax.
That's correct.
Editorial in the Toronto Sun this morning suggests that this is a tax that is not doable, a tax cut that's not doable. They say, the editorial writers in the Toronto Sun, can this be done without blowing a huge hole in the city's budget? We don't see how the numbers add up. What are you going to cut to make this work?
Well, I'm not going to cut anything. And I don't listen to the armchair quarterbacks, the media, yourself, the Toronto Sun. I sat on the budget. I understand the numbers. You guys have never seen the numbers. We're going to outsource the garbage east of Yonge. That's going to save $97 million conservatively. We're going to find efficiencies within the system, shared services. Rather than having 12 purchasing departments, 12 HR departments, 12 fleet departments, KPMG's report on the service review said that we could save hundreds of millions of dollars. We will save $50-60 million, and we'll also save $97 million on outsourcing the garbage east of Yonge,
now,
like
again,
we did west of Yonge.
Those numbers, a lot of people say, are inflated, that the garbage outsourcing could come nowhere near $90 million.
Okay, let me challenge you.
Let me just finish. Let me just finish, if I might. The $60 million in savings, maybe there, nobody knows. Yeah. That still leaves a $50 million hole.
Actually, it doesn't. I said over the next 4 years, I'm going to reduce the land transfer tax by 15%, right? That's $52.5 million roughly. And my priority is the first year to reduce it by 15%. Do you know how much it affects? It affects the economy by $2.6 billion, this land transfer tax. We're the only jurisdiction in Ontario that has a double tax. When you sell an average house of $600,000, you're getting taxed by the government of Ontario by $8,000 and the city
in
for
part
$8,000.
Because those dollars go to pay for services here. So there was
Actually,
a report.
We didn't have it 6 years ago. What did we do back 6 years ago when we didn't have it? What did we do
the city has
with the car registration tax when we eliminated it, Matt?
Well, you had to
said
make,
it couldn't be done.
You had to make cuts. That's what you had to do.
We found efficiencies. There's a difference between cuts and efficiencies. We have a spending problem, Matt, in all levels of government. I run a private sector business. I started on the ground floor in the back of the factory.
So
I built it to an international company. I understand efficiency.
You're suggesting that to do this, there would be no cuts whatsoever. A lot of people don't believe that. If you look at outside reporting on the city budget coming from the University of Toronto and others, they've looked at those numbers that you say nobody has seen, which we've all seen. They've examined them, and they say that we have a revenue problem, not a spending problem.
Well, that's of course, that's University of Toronto.
But
and,
you're saying that those numbers are biased?
Well, they can twist the numbers. They haven't been down there. They don't understand it.
They have been there. Enid Slack used to work at the city. They're not twisting the numbers. They say
they said. Let's start from the beginning. They said we couldn't deliver a 0% tax increase. We did. They said we couldn't find the $774 million. We did. They said we couldn't get rid of the car registration tax. We did. Our city is booming.
All with cuts, though. There were cuts, and your brother, when he was here, admitted those cuts. The budget that he tried to pass
there was efficiencies.
in
There's a
February
difference.
had cuts of $214,000 to public health, $260,000 to the public library. Those are real cuts.
Actually, we're building a new library. We're building new fire stations. We're buying defibrillator suits. Hold on. We're buying defibrillator suits, communications. We're upgrading the communications. We also put in $500 million last year, $500 million into TTC. And this city is booming. Everyone knows it. Under this Ford administration, we're ranked number 1 in the world from KPMG as the most competitive tax market in the world, number 1.
Why do you take credit for what your brother did?
Because I was beside him. I was working day in and day out. And it wasn't just Rob and I. It was Mike Delgrand working as a chair of the budget the first 2 years, doing a great job. It was Doug Holliday that was sitting there till 6 in the morning with the mayor negotiating labor deals for the first time. Outside of the short stint of the library strike, we didn't have any strikes. We made a happy balance between the frontline workers and the taxpayers. We differentiate between labor and labor leadership. We support the frontline, hardworking people of this city.
And you believe that you essentially were operating side by side, that he was the mayor in name, but you were there.
Not just me, the whole team. I think Denzelman and Wong did a good job on outsourcing the garbage. You built a team. The difference between myself and John Tory, I can hit the ground running. He doesn't understand City Hall. He doesn't even know what the procurement department does. He doesn't know the government. I have a team. We can hit the ground running. I talk to councillors every day across the city. every single day. I was with 5 councillors the other night. I talked to the councillors in Scarborough every day.
We have one last question. This is a question that we've asked all the candidates. We asked your brother the first time he was here. We know a lot about you. We know a lot about your relationship with the city. Just briefly tell us what you love about Toronto.
You know, I love how multicultural it is. If you came to Ford Fest, and I know you'd never come, but I'm going to invite you one time, Ford Fest, it's a true snapshot of Toronto. You have every race, religion, party affiliation. It's a true snapshot of Toronto. And you can't see that in any other organization. You just don't see it. We have massive support in the ethnic community, massive support. And we look forward to bringing everyone out on October 27th because you have 2 choices. They're either going to go with the tax hikes that John Tory has said publicly numerous times. He's going to do toll roads.
Right.
He's going to have a gas retail
I don't think he said
tax.
anything about toll roads.
Well,
to be
actually,
honest.
Civic Action he did. And I've spoke to him personally. He said you can't build subways without additional taxes. So he's going to tax people and build a system that it's pie in the sky, this idea that he has. Everyone knows it's not integrated to the existing system. I'm building subways, very simple, along Finch, Shepherd, and Eglinton, and people don't want LRTs along those lines.
We'll leave it there. Doug Ford, thank you. Doug Ford, candidate for mayor in the city of Toronto. Your thoughts welcome through Twitter, @Metro Morning, or the Voxbox.
Scientists believe they are on the verge of being able to delete memories. It could mean a cure for people who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. But is there a cost to individuals and society? Exploring the ethics of erasing memory on Ideas in the Afternoon. Canada Live follows with Sloan in concert. Ideas in the Afternoon and Canada Live. Today from 1 to 3 p.m., 1:30 to 3:30 in Newfoundland. Coming up in half an hour, it's The Current.
Hello, I'm Anna Maria Tremonti. There's a new name being mentioned in counterterrorism circles, the Khorasan Group. The Obama administration has characterized it as a direct threat that justifies airstrikes in Syria. But skeptics ask if the Khorasan Group is